Imagine water so dark and silty you can barely see your hand in front of your face, let alone your dive buddy about an arm's length away. That's the setting of some of the best preserved and oldest archaeological material in Florida. This is the Osceola River, and within its sediments lie evidence of human lifeways from up to 14,500 years ago, when the landscape was dotted with sinkholes rather than a flowing river. I study submerged archaeological landscapes guided by questions like how have these landscapes changed since people first interacted with them, and how has climate change impacted human lifeways? In order to discuss how people interacted with their landscapes in the past, archaeologists first have to determine what those landscapes were and what the environment was like. That's where my research comes in. WR1 in blue on the map and Brown Hole in green are two submerged archaeological sites in the west run of the Osceola River, southeast of Tallahassee. Within their sediments lie preserved artifacts, like the stone tools you see me holding in this picture, as well as preserved organic material, and most important for my work, stratified sediments. In my thesis, I analyzed sediment cores taken from these sites in order to determine their depositional histories and discuss their relationship to each other and other sites in the area. Those relationships speak to the possible nature of human land use at different times in the past, with each of those time periods marked by a different environment. Through my analysis, I was able to delineate those different environments into this cross-section of WR1. The oldest material at the site is from a peat bog, likely dating to the Pleistocene, well before any human occupation of the area. The introduction of sands marks a major environmental transition in which I have interpreted the activation of an artisan spring. Eventually that spring went dormant, and pond sediments, including silts and clays, were able to settle out over time. Further shallowing allowed for subaerial exposure of those sediments and soil formation. Another major environmental transition occurred after that soil formation, in which the sediments were resubmerged, and the final stratum at the site is from the modern river. That depositional and environmental sequence contextualizes the archaeological remains at the site. Artifacts are found primarily concentrated within the soil made from pond sediments and the sands below it. Now, if people were just utilizing the site when it was dry land, we would expect to see artifacts concentrated at the top of that soil, but we don't. So this seems to indicate a co-occurrence of artifact deposition, indicating human land use, and deposition of aquatic sediments, tying human occupation and movement on the landscape to aquatic environments. Thus, through my research, I've been able to conclude that WR1 and Brown Hole were, for a time, a significant source of fresh water on this landscape. They would have been one of many nodes in an ancient freshwater network of sinkholes. People in the area would have known about and been well aware of the variability of these sinkholes as freshwater sources. And thus, my research has contributed to the body of evidence tying human lifeways in the past in this area of Florida to these freshwater sources. Thank you.